One of the things that Nehemiah had to unexpectedly face while building the wall was the cry of the poor. It turns out that while they're going about this mission, we're charging higher taxes to the most poor and vulnerable in their community, which was leading to famine amongst these people, starvation, and it even got as serious as some people were selling land and were even selling family members and people around them into slavery so that they could manage to survive day by day. Nehemiah heard this cry of the poor, even though he's in the middle of his own mission, trying to rebuild this wall. And he did what I would love us all to do, is to stop and to hear the cry of those around us. And the Bible tells us in Nehemiah 5, verse 6, that this is Nehemiah's response. I was very angry when I heard their outcry and these words. Nehemiah knew in this moment, no matter what other mission he had, he needs to listen and respond to the cry of the poor. Nehemiah took a moment and sorted this situation, reprimanded and rebuked the leaders, made sure the poor people got what they needed in order to live the lives that God had called them to. Nehemiah stepped in and did something about it. While we're building our ministries, while we're building our missions, while we're going about doing our lives, trying to build our careers and our marriages, we must make sure that we always have time to stop for the cry of the poor, to stop for the cry of those in need, for those being oppressed, for those being cut out, for those being killed, for those being arrested, for those who are in all of these situations. We must make sure we stop and do something about it. We must listen to the people on the street. We must listen to what our cities, our villages, neighborhoods, and our nations are crying out for. We must listen to what our nations desire. And we must respond as the church of God. I remember hearing about a church in America. The pastor opened up the newspaper one morning, his local newspaper, and in there was an article about how young men and women had started to leave school and they were struggling to keep kids in school. So they had this, the government or the council had made this idea to recruit 1,000 mentors from the public in order to give these guys mentors to keep them motivated and keep them going. The pastor read it, and even though he led his own big church and he had multiple things to do and places to go and preach and people to see, he decided we must do something about this cry. So he gets up the following Sunday and declares to his church, we are going to give them all 1,000 mentors from this church. He makes a call, 1,000 mentors sign up. He calls the newspaper or the company that were doing it and says, I have found you 1,000 mentors from our one organization. Now, I know that's huge and maybe seems beyond us, but I love the attitude. He heard a cry of their neighborhood and said, I'm going to do something about it. Nehemiah heard the cry of the poor and said, I'm going to do something about it. Maybe you and I need to hear the cry of the refugee. Maybe you and I need to hear the cry of the aborted baby. Maybe you and I need to hear the cry of those that have felt ostracized and pushed out of church. Maybe those of us need to feel the cry of those on the poverty line that need help with debt, that need help to get food on the table. We need to hear the cry. And so that's why I invited Pastor Simon Benham to come speak to us today. He is a local pastor that is building on the ground and is on front lines building the kingdom of God. And Kerith Community Church, the church he leads in the UK, have a passion and have a desire and are very good at hearing the cry of the poor and doing something about it. So I asked him to come speak to us today, to inspire us once again, and to turn our ears once again to make sure we hear the cry of the poor. I hope it blesses you, and I hope it motivates you.